said Menachem said he got fat from saying I'm in Mishmi Rabbi. So it says Yomi. So someone said that I got fat from saying Bari Minim Zainas. Okay. So we're starting at the beginning of the Gemara on Daf Zayin Amid Bais. We had a machlekes, Rabbi Eliezer and Rabbi Yeshua. Rabbi Eliezer says that there's 4 women that are metama, that are only impure from then and on. And Rabbi Yeshua said that there's just one. Milish Makel Besula. In English? So the Gemara concluded, we're on Zion. The Gemara concluded, the Mishnah said, Aval halacha Rabbi Eliezer. You see that? Halacha Rabbi Eliezer. Tanya. It's taught in a Brisa. Now the Brisa sometimes gives us more details, more interesting details that are. So the Mishnah is more of a classic. It doesn't go into those. The Brisa has conversations and other descriptions of what was going on. It says, Amalei Rabbi Eliezer, Rabbi Yeshua. Rabbi Eliezer says to Rabbi Yeshua, he's responding back because Rabbi Yeshua said, I only heard one. He says, Atalei Shemata. You didn't hear, but Vani Shemati, but I did hear. So what are you telling me? You only heard one. I heard and you didn't. And Atalei Shemata La'achas. You only heard one. Vani Shemati Harbe. It's actually on the side, it says it's supposed to be Arba. See, that's an easy mistake. Harbe to Arba. Yeah. The main word. Maybe right? Sell it. Well, ayin and there should be an ayin at the end, and there's an aleph. But the consonants are the same. The strong consonants are the same. Ein Aimrim, I heard 4. You heard 1. Ein Aimrim l'mishalei ras achedesh yaveh v'yarda l'misharo. You don't tell the person that didn't see the moon to come testify. You tell the person that did see the moon to come testify.
That's a stech.
Yeah, I was actually.
Okay. Kol Yamav Shel Rabbi Eliezer Hayoisen Rabbi Yeshua. All of the days that Rabbi Eliezer was alive, they paskin like Rabbi Yeshua ben Chananya. It says that 3 of the women on the Kamala Mafreya, retroactive, and only one of them is Daya Shaita, which is the young girl. That we said, Sula. But after Rabbi Eliezer passed away, then Hechzer Rabbi Yeshua Sadav Eliyoshnai, then Rabbi Yeshua changed it to paskin like Rabbi Eliezer. So while he was alive, they didn't go like him. After he passed away, they did go like him. The Gemara asks, Rabbi Eliezer b'chayev my time aloi? Why, while he was alive, didn't they pass like Rabbi Eliezer? Mishum de Rabbi Eliezer shamutihu, because Rabbi Eliezer is shamuti. Rashi, waiting for that question. What is shamuti? So Rashi says, listen, shamta. It means a chayrim. Rabbi Eliezer was in chayrim. And let me read a little further, we'll go back. He was afraid that if we're going to paskin like him in one thing, they're going to say, oh yeah, they paskin like Rabbi Eliezer. People will start paskin like Rabbi Eliezer. And in other areas. And because of Rabbi Eliezer honor, we won't be able to protest against them, saying, don't paskin like Rabbi Eliezer. But after Rabbi Eliezer passed away, the Matzin and Mechinim Behu that were able to protest and say that the halacha is not like Rabbi Eliezer, then they felt that they could say that, yes, here the halacha is like Rabbi Eliezer, and if people start to extend it to other things, they'll be able to tell them no. The sages. Now, we mentioned Rashi that says that he was in Chayrim. Taisus is bothered by this and says, Taisus Arash, others are bothered, that Chayrim does not mean that you're not right. Chayrim means that there's something that you did wrong. They put you in Chayrim. Why are we worried about the halacha not being like Rabbi Eliezer in other areas because he wasn't cherem, still maybe the halacha is like him and whatever it is. Why are we making a big deal about him being in cherem, that people may pass him like him and all of that? Why is that such a big deal? I don't know if he had students then to hear him when he was in cherem. But assume cherem means that no one is allowed to be associated with him. Tosfos over here asks that in the Gillian and Tosfos that we find that Rabbi Eliezer was wearing tefillin, someone that's in cherem wasn't allowed to wear tefillin. It's like in mourning. Anyway, Tosfos gives a different answer. We'll go back. Tosfos gives a different answer, and his Tosfos' answer is Shamuti means that he's a student of Bais Shammai. So follow this. I have here Hillel and Shammai. Hillel and Shammai. Hillel's here. Shammai's here. Okay? They have a student, Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai. I don't know why the line doesn't go there. The Mishnah tells us. Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai, Kibel Mihil v'Shammai. Hu Yomi. The Mishnah, it's the Mishnah Berkiyanos. So, their students, Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai. Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai has 5 students. One of them is Rabbi Eliezer. Another one is Rabbi Yeshua. Now, what they're picking up from Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai is the teachings of Hillel and the teachings of Shammai. Which side they're leaning to more? There's a claim here that Rabbi Eliezer is leaning more towards the Shammai teaching. He would be a follower of the Shammai school. And the halacha is not like Shammai. However, why is the halacha not like Shammai? So,
by the way, who was the 5th student of Rabbi Yochanan?
So Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai had Rabbi Eliezer ben Horkanes, Rabbi Yeshua ben Hanania, Rabbi Shimon ben Nassano, Rabbi Yossi HaKoyen, and Rabbi Elazar ben Arach. They didn't put it in over here. They left out Rabbi Shimon ben Nassano and Rabbi Yossi HaKoyen. Now, let's go back to the main story here, and then we'll discuss the Shammai. The main story here was that the Gemara Bab Metzia, in discussing Aina, how you can't cause someone pain. Over there, it gets into this machlekes about this oven that's made out of pieces, but also dirt. It's mixed together with pieces and dirt, and it's an earthenware oven. The question is if it's makabel tumah or not. Now, Rabbi Eliezer says that it's not, and Rabbi Yeshua said that it is. And the Gemara says that if that Rabbi Yeshua, I'm bringing you about anyone. It's definitely Ches, so one of those. But check it. Yeah, on the bottom. It should be on the bottom.
I got right here. Well, in the pop-up box, if you move.
Abba Metzia, okay. Abba Metzia, okay, excellent. So, thank you. This is great.
You still get the mitzvah, don't worry.
This is with everything.
Yeah.
So, 1 second, I got to go back.
That's all.
Yeah. So, Rabbi Eliezer said to them, if the halacha is like me, they didn't accept Rabbi Elezer's lenient ruling. Rabbi Eliezer says, if the halacha is like me, then let the carob tree prove it. So at that time, the carob tree was uprooted from its place and moved 100 amas. And some say 400 amas. The sages aren't convinced, and they say you can't bring a proof from a carob tree. It says if the halacha is like me, then let the water canal prove it. And the water canal flowed backwards. They said you can't bring a proof from a water canal. Said if the halacha is like me, let the walls of the Bais Medrash prove it. The walls of the Bais Medrash started to lean in, started to fall. Rabbi Shua rebuked the walls. He says if the Talmidei Chachamim are arguing with one another, so what is this your business? Don't mix in. And the walls didn't fall out of respect for Rabbi Shua, but they didn't stand up straight out of respect for Rabbi Eliezer. And they're still leaning to this day.
Wow.
Have you seen it?
I've seen it in the
Seen leaning wall of the building.
So what happens now is he says, if the halacha is like me, then let the heavens prove it. A heavenly voice came out and said, what are you what do you have with Rabbi Eliezer? With Rabbi Eliezer, the halacha is always like him. Rabbi Shua stands on his feet and he says the Torah is not in the heaven.
Yeah.
Once the Torah has been given, it's not in the heaven. Now, so at that time, they were afraid that
all those miracles would have influenced the whole world.
they were afraid that there would be two religions. It would look like two Torahs. People were going to follow Rabbi Eliezer. Rabbi Eliezer refused to give in to the majority. So they put him in Cherem. And Rabbi, they were afraid that there was going to be a division in the community. It would be two religions. So they put Rabbi Eliezer in Cherem. They shouldn't have a following. He accepted the Cherem. Rabbi Akiva went to visit him. He said, apparently your friends are separating themselves from you. So he took off his shoes and he sat on the floor in Torah's clothes like in mourning. No, they said, who's going to tell Rabbi Eliezer that he's in Cherem? Rabbi Akiva volunteered. He'll be the one to do it. Anyway, it turns out that Rabbi Eliezer's wife, her name was Ema Shalom, she was Rabbi Gamliel's sister. Rabbi Gamliel's sister. So she didn't allow Rabbi Eliezer, she didn't allow her husband ever to say the tachnan, to put his head down, to do that, because she was afraid that because of his prayer, her brother that was involved in this argument would end up dying. So one time, either it was Rosh Chodesh and she didn't know, it wasn't Rosh Chodesh, she thought it was. She would always watch him and make sure he didn't say it. So one time she maybe someone came to the door and she missed it, and she said he said the tachnan, and right then the word came out that Rabbi Gamliel passed away. So what happens with Rabbi Eliezer? So Rabbi Eliezer is in Cherem. He's Shamuti. He's in Cherem. But there's also this other issue that he's also a student of Shammai. He has the Shammai leanings. It's Machlekes Rashi Tosfos. What the issue is.
This is actually what you're saying now. What this Gemara is saying is it's a very interesting thing, because it's all about having the Rabbanim censor. It's a censorship, and I mean, I guess today it's different than those days, but it's like it would be like censoring the Reform and conservative movement, lahavdil, saying that you're a different religion and you can't come to us. And how do they justify doing that? I mean, how do you censor to that sense? Let people choose.
So here, what we're seeing is that while Rabbi Eliezer was alive, they did it one way, out of concern for what it might lead to. After he passed away, they brought it back. They brought it back. Look, what did they say? To prove halachically why you're not allowed to go on a subway on Shabbos is very, very difficult. And to prove halachically why you're allowed to go in a hot mikvah on Shabbos is very difficult. But it takes a chacham to say what's good for Yiddishkeit and what's not good for Yiddishkeit. So to go on the subway is what's it going to lead to. So yes, I know it's hard to find the exact reason why it's forbidden to go on the subway. The token? So you get a guy to put the token in. I mean, there's ways of finding leniencies there, but nevertheless, we don't go on the subway. And a hot mikveh is very difficult. It's a gezerah, you're not supposed to use, shower and things and to bathe. But nevertheless, we find like the loophole. Why? Because to go to the mikveh on Shabbos is one of the big things. It's very, very important. So it's not just the halacha. There has to be wisdom in it as well. Okay. We were holding right now is that there's a machlekes Rabbi Eliezer and Rabbi Shua. Okay. Amar Rav Yehuda Amar Shmuel. Halacha Rabbi Eliezer Barba. Rav Yehuda says in the name of Shmuel that the halacha is like Rabbi Eliezer in 4 things. Here we have Shmuel and Rav Yehuda. This is another chart. This is an Amoraim chart. Rav Yehuda says that the halacha is like Rabbi Eliezer in 4 things. Chada Hada Amran. One of them we already said. Now, the examples over here are slightly complex. We're back into Gemara, where the history class is over, but we'll get back to it afterwards. But these halachas are regular Gemara, put on your thinking caps. V'idach. Another one that the halacha is going to be like Rabbi Lezer is the following. See, there's a difference between Nidda and Ziva. Ziva, if a person sees blood, if a woman sees blood out of the time that she should have, usually she sees for 7 days. If she sees in the following 11 days, those are called the 11 days of Ziva, so then she has to wait. If she sees for 3 days, 3 days, then she has to wait 7 clean days, which she does not need to do for Nidda. Nidda, the days don't need to be clean. It could be a full seeing for 7 days. She just goes to the mikveh right afterwards, and no clean days in Nidda. Only in Ziva is clean days. Let's say a woman is giving birth, and she sees blood, and it's during the time that it should be Ziva. So after she has the baby, she has to bring a korban for giving birth. But is she considered a zayv as well, a zava as well? So it says hamaksha, so a woman that's in labor. So the rule is like this, that if she gave birth during that she has the labor pains and she's bleeding and she gives birth and there's no respite, there's no relief from that, so then that's all considered labor. But if there is a relief from that and there's a break of 24 hours in between that blood and the giving birth, in the labor pains, it stops. So then that blood becomes Ziva, and she gave birth. That's a separate thing. So in other words, there's a time period in between that. So it goes like this. How much should be the relief? Kama tishbe, b'tezava, and that will make her in that previous seeing of blood will be Zava. Me'yesleis div Rabbi Lezer. Rabbi Lezer holds me'yesleis. And Rabbi Shua argues, and Rabbi Shua says has to do it's not specifically me'yesleis. It has to do with which aina to aina say. V'halacha kidvarav, and the halacha is like Rabbi Lezer. Okay, we're up to number 2. What's number 3? V'idach, another one. Hazava shabbat atzmi yem rishon u'matzatar yem shvi u'matzatar v'shar yem leibadku. 7 clean days for a zav and a zava. How do they ascertain that they're clean? They have to do an examination. So they have to do an examination. Usually it's done once in the morning and once in the evening, once in the afternoon for those clean days. Let's say for each of the 7 days. Let's say they only did the first day and the 7th day. So Rabbi Lezer says, Rabbi Lezer Eimer Hariyah Lebecheskas Tara. Look, the first one was good. The 7th one was good. Probably all the rest are good. Rabbi Shua Eimer, Rabbi Shua says, Ein lemelim ele yem rishon v'yem hashvi'i bilvad. That's only 2 days. The first one and the 7th one. You have to count another 5 days. It's sort of like it's not consecutive. It's not consecutive, and Rabbi Shua is ready to accept that, even though it's not consecutive. Those 2 will count, and you count add another 5. Rabbi Akiva Aimer Ein Lemel Yem Shvi Bavad. Rabbi Akiva says no. You missed the ones in the middle. You have to. Your 7th one is now the first one, and you need another 6. Vitanya, and it was taught in a brayso. Reb Shimon and Rabbi Yosi Aimer. Reb Shimon and Rabbi Yosi. We just had a machlekes between Rabbi Eliezer, Rabbi Yeshua, and Rabbi Akiva. Over here they're put as 2 teachers and a student. That's how they're put. But that was probably originally. As time went on, Rabbi Akiva became a teacher along with them as well. So now we have Rabbi Yosi and Reb Shimon discussing. They say like this. Nirin div Rabbi Eliezer mi div Rabbi Yeshua. Rabbi Eliezer makes more sense than Rabbi Yeshua. Because Rabbi Yeshua is like Mimanavsha. Does he think that there was blood in the middle? Then you lose the first day. If he doesn't think there's blood in the middle, so why don't you count them? It's very hard to explain. The explanation would be like this. The explanation would be for Rabbi Yeshua that there's 2 dinim, there's 2 halachas of Shiva Nekiyim, of the 7 clean days. One of them is that it has to be clean. Another one is that she has to do the examination. We assume that, not consecutive, that she has to do the examination. We assume that it's clean, but the examination she didn't do. So we only count the ones that she did the examination for, and it will add up. That's the only way to make Rabbi Shua make sense would be to add in that there's another halacha of examination that's required, and then we can get that. But they said that Rabbi Eliezer is more clear than Rabbi Yeshua. The Divrei Rabbi Akiva midivri kulam, and Rabbi Akiva is the most clear that it only starts from the seventh one because she didn't check herself by day 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So it could be that she was tummy then. Aval halacha Rabbi Eliezer, but the halacha is like Rabbi Eliezer, which says that you can count all of them. The lenient opinion, it's considered all
Halacha
good.
says
That all
clean
7 I think.
and exactly. Correct.
Yeah, but now we were
Or
saying.
does it just say clean?
Now we're saying that
What
the
she must
halacha
have done.
is that as long as that there was an examination the first day and the 7th day, it's considered good. It's considered the idach. Where you did that 3rd one, what's the 4th one? The Tanana was taught. They saved the best for the last. Get ready. The rule is that when it comes to Tumah and Tara, everything usually moves down a level as it touches. It starts with an Av, it goes to a Rishon, it goes to a Sheni, Shlishi. Everything moves down a level as it touches. Now, when it comes to liquid, so liquid has a special Gezerah Midarabanan that it can make things into a Rishon. Even though it's a Sheni, it goes back and it makes it into a Rishon. Very strict. I think so. So here it says, okay, but there's a difference what it touches. If it touches, we learned that this earthenware vessel can only become tummy from the inside. When it comes to liquid, don't confuse this with that. Really, the vessel, a liquid can contaminate a vessel to turn the vessel into a rishon. It can turn the vessel into a rishon, but only if it touches the inside of the vessel. Even if it's not earthenware. But if it touches the outside of the vessel, then only the outside of the vessel becomes tummy. The inside of the vessel doesn't become tummy. Don't worry if it's not. So only the outside of the vessel becomes tummy. So it's like as if there's 2 layers. There's the outer layer of the vessel and the inner layer of the vessel. So if it touches the inside, then both become tummy. But if it touches the outside, then only the outside becomes tummy. Achayri kelim. It was taught in the Mishnah. Achayri kelim shnitim b'mashkin. The outside of a vessel that became impure with mashkin. Rabbi Eliezer metamin as a mashkin. That outside of the vessel, which is now impure, can make other liquids impure. If other liquids touch the vessel. Ve'in paislan as ha'oichlin, but it doesn't make food impure. Okay. Now we elaborate. It's extreme over here. Someone sitting over there. Metamin as a mashkin afilu dechula. When we said it makes liquid impure, the outside of the vessel, what type of liquid? Any liquid, even mundane liquid, big chiddush. Bein paislan as ha'oichlin, mundane, even if it's chulin, even if it's no kedusha. Mundane just means regular, like weekday type. And vein paislan as ha'oichlin, but it won't invalidate, impure. The difference between metame and paisel means metame means that it makes it at a level where it can give off tumah as well. Paisel means that it makes it tumah, but it can't give off that tumah to a next level. So, and it won't even paisel food, vafilu de truma, even if that food is truma. So the stringency is only for liquid, according to Rabbi Eliezer. Rabbi Shua says no. It does both. Metame the mashkin, it makes the liquid impure. What type of impurity? That it can give off impurity to the next level. But it makes food impure, but not that it can give it off. Rabbi Shua says kal v'chaimer. It's a kal v'chaimer that it should be paisel the food. Why? Matvul yaim, a person that went to the mikveh and they have to wait for nightfall, they're considered a sheni. Second level of offspring of tumah. That she'ina metame mashkin, if they touch liquid, it doesn't become tamei. They went to the mikvah already. Mashke chulin, if it's mundane liquid. But nevertheless, paisel lechlei truma, but they're not allowed to eat truma. Remember the first Mishnah in Brachas? They have to wait for nightfall. When is the time for Shema? When the Kayan that was a Tvul Yom is allowed to eat his Truma. Before that, he apostles it. So Achayri Kalim, so here we have a Tvul Yom that is not Mitama Chulin, but is Mitama Truma. Achayri Kalim, the outside of the vessel, Shemitama Mashkin, Shemitama Mashke Chulin, that is contaminating liquid. In a din Shapais Alech Truma, is it not a Kal V'chaymer that it should contaminate or at least make invalid food of Truma?
Is this still rice?
So 1 second. A Tvul Yaim is not allowed to eat the Truma midaraisa. The mashkin that we're discussing, the liquid that contaminates the back of a vessel, is all derabanan. Total gzeir midarabanan. It's impossible for food to make a keli tamei, minatayra. If food becomes tamei, if liquid becomes tamei, it automatically becomes a rishon. Rishon can't make a person or a keli tamei. So it's really all impossible. Is that like this color? Should I leave it? Okay. Now, so Rabbi Shua brought this kal v'chaymer. Rabbi Eliezer responds. He says, "Acheri kelim derabanan." He says, "Your logic is great, but this doesn't work because what we're talking about is a din derabanan. Tvul yoim deraisa. In the Tvul Yom, the person that went to the mikveh, that halacha is a deraisa. Rabbanim mideraisa lo yavdin kal v'chaymer. You can't make a kal v'chaymer from a rabbinic law to a rabbinic law from a biblical law. The mideraisa ein oichel mitama keli vein mask mitama keli. It's impossible, according to the Torah, for food to contaminate a vessel or for liquid to contaminate a vessel. V'rabbanan the gazra gezera mishamashkim dezava. And the Rabbanan made a decree. And the decree is because of fluids that come out of a zava, which includes spit or urine, or those things, which are also tamei. And so we said that all liquids go under that category. So what gezer is that on? That's mashkin, dalul and kabel tuma, gazer b'rabbanan. On liquids, on fluids, that's what the gezer is on. Oichlin, but on food, they ain't alula makabel tuma, they're not makabel tuma as easily. Or lasalei gazer b'rabbanan, the gezer is not on that. So, let me put this, like, the big deal in Tum and Tara is liquids. That's where there's a lot of extra tumas there. The food gets wet, or liquid is considered a shame, well, it could contaminate vessels. The liquids are the big deal. It would be like in the esrog store, if a woman comes in with long nails, polished nails, all the esrog sellers like, no, don't touch the esrog. It's like no nails in the esrog store. They're afraid they'll get a scratch on it. So in Tum and Tara, it's like liquids. It's like no liquids here. It's liquids are a problem. We don't know where it came from, and all the liquids are like the big deal. Okay, that's my example, silly example, but okay.
Liquids make a substance contract electricity more.
Uh-huh.
So you have a solid and it doesn't do anything, but if it gets wet,
I would assume that in bacterias, in these growth, there's also some. Am I correct, doctor? In liquids, would that be more significant? In bacteria and that type of. It's not relevant for Tum and Tara, but I'm just saying, if it's liquid, would it grow more in liquids over? That doesn't matter. Okay.
Pasteur did it with the grapefruit. I mean, also was fungus. I mean, if you leave your food open and open in the refrigerator, you're going to have a lot of stuff growing on it. I don't think you
doesn't matter.
need to glass the water out.
The moisture,
but it
helps it grow. If it's dry, it doesn't grow.
You're thinking of a pond where,
right.
Because things get in it, etc.
All right.
Okay, tried.
So the Gemara asks, "Ma'ishna acheri kelim denakat mishum dekile." Why are we talking about only the outside of the vessels? Because it's lenient. The Tanan, it was taught in the Mishnah. Keli shenit me'achirav a vessel that's contaminated, only the outside, only by touching the outer part. B'mashkin with liquid. Achayriv tamei. The outside of the vessel is tamei, but toichay oznei ognai yadai tahirin. But the inside, the handles and the lip, that's all of that is all tahir. Nit mataychai, but if you touch the inside, then kulei tamei. Everything is tamei. Okay. Notice that we did not end off with saying halacha Rabbi Eliezer. We had just had a machlekes here, but we do have our fourth case, and the Gemara says, "My kamash Shmuel Shmuel." What is Shmuel coming to tell me? Shmuel was the one that said that the halacha is like Rabbi Eliezer in 4 cases. The kulu tanan hilchasa. In all of them, he said, the Mishnah itself says hilchasa. And maybe he's coming to tell me the last case where we did not conclude hilchasa Rabbi Eliezer. It didn't have that conclusion. The Leitanan over there it doesn't teach. It doesn't say it. So why didn't Shmuel say V'leima halacha Rabbi Eliezer b'acheri kelim? All he needed to say was one case, because the rest of them it already says the halacha is like Rabbi Eliezer. Vanessa.
No, I just want to say, you were looking for a reason the liquids is more common. It's the spill and splash factor. I mean, you drop food, it doesn't move anywhere. You spill liquids, it's going to go everywhere.
That's scientific.
No, why does everyone have coffee cup lids over here?
No, it's
you guys are safe over here.
It's in law. It's the slip and what's it called?
Slip and slide.
Trip, slip,
slip
and
but he
slip.
has to make a living.
Okay. So we asked the question: why does Shmuel need to say the halacha like Rabbi Eliezer in 4